Bro, this might blow your mind, but I don't know if anybody told you, but I'm not Jesus Christ himself. Nor am I the Buddha or Swami Vivekananda or any of these high-level spiritual teachers. Sorry to break it to you. I'm just a guy who struggles and wrestles and fails with his energy and his lust, we shall say. I'm not better than any of you. I'm not better than any of these other creators out here. Just because I have a YouTube channel. Just because I have a YouTube channel, it just means I talk about it publicly. I recently had a relapse today, actually. Multiple relapses. And, I'm not going to document every single relapse that I have, but I do want to talk about this one specifically and a little bit of a mental shift that is starting to occur within me. You have to realize that if you are practicing semen retention, there is no way in hell that you can lose. I know there is creators out there that are going to try to convince you that there is some technique, some way, some form of breath work that you can do that is going to convince you, that is somehow going to flip a switch in your mind that is going to make you not relapse. But they're full of shit. I'm sorry. They are full of bullshit. And if I ever try to tell you anything like this, then I'm full of bullshit as well. There is no technique. You're just going to get to the point where you've drank the metaphorical poison so much and you've let it swish around in your mouth and you've tasted this horrible poison that eventually you're going to have had enough of the poison. I am convinced at this point that semen retention needs to be a way of life for me because of how powerful it is, for just how it makes me feel internally in terms of my physical body and my energy, but even how it opens up my mentality and it changes the way I think and how it opens up my mind spiritually. So I'm convinced at this point. But that does not mean that I do not struggle with these things as well. It doesn't mean I never go back to old habits that I prefer not to keep in my life. There's really no way, there's nothing that's going to keep your balls in for you. That's something that you just have to make a choice. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how bad the urge is, you have to realize that there's nothing on the other side of a relapse. How do I know? Well, because I just relapsed, right? You have to understand that this is going to be a multiple year process of doing your best and falling back, of doing your best and falling back. You have to eat the food until you're just sick of it. I'm sorry. You just have to simply consciously indulge in your lust until you decide that this is no longer for me. So do I know what my time frame is? Absolutely not. All I can do is, and all I know is that I can do my best. And when I mess up, I brush it off, I let it be a one-time thing, and I get right back on the path. Because guess what? I'm not some guru, or I'm not some freaking Jesus clone that has transcended the physical body. I'm a man with lots of energy and lots of testosterone and lots of drive, and I have unpreferable ways that my body wants to express the energy, and I go back to negative habits sometimes. But with that said, it's easy to get down and out about that. When am I going to get over this? Well, first of all, give yourself a freaking break. There is no way you can lose if you know about semen retention. 98% of people, probably even more than that, don't even know that semen retention is a thing. If you even mention the word semen retention, they will give you the weirdest looks because it's kind of taboo. It's kind of a weird topic to bring up. But you know about it. No matter how many times you mess up, you've already taken the metaphorical red pill. You already know the power that you hold within, that no supplement, no stimulant, no this, that, or the other can give to you. It is simply the power that you hold within your own body, within your own mind, within your own spirit, and that all comes from your vital essence as a man. And you're doing 100 times better than you think. If you used to engage with these negative habits, whether that was overindulgence in interactions with the opposite gender, or if it was just overindulgence with, sketchy websites, and you used to do that once a day, twice a day, God forbid you do it 3-4 times a day, and you cut down from that number and you go all the way to doing 7, once every 7 days or once every 10 days. Yeah, it's not perfect and you still have work to do. Don't get me wrong. You can always go longer. You can always transmute more of your vital life essence, but that's progress, bro. That's real progress. And especially if you're young, like if you're older, it's going to be easier to put together a long streak. I know multiple guys in our group that are in their mid 30s, mid 40s, some guys even in their 50s. And it's kind of a cakewalk to go 50 days. I'm not taking away from the discipline it takes for them to build up those numbers as well. But if you're an older guy going 60 days, it probably feels the same as a younger guy in his early 20s or his late teens, going for like 10 days. Like, you have a lot of energy that you're working with. You have to cut yourself some slack, because if you don't, you're just going to beat yourself up and you're going to destroy yourself mentally. So, like I said, I'm not going to document every single relapse, because first of all, I don't have time for that. And I'm not trying to take away my responsibility in terms of the responsibility that I had in making these actions that led to a relapse. 110%, it was my choice. And in some ways I regret it, but at the same time, you can't cry over spilled milk, and I'm simply getting right back on the path. But I just need to be transparent with you, because I'm not going to name any specific names, but there's multiple creators who talk about this semen retention stuff like they never struggle with it. And then I also know some of my favorite creators who they talk about when they're doing good, and they're the first ones to admit when they are doing bad. And it builds so much trust with them. The ones that talk about not just when they're doing good, but when they are struggling, when they bounce back from a relapse, like all this good stuff, it helps me build so much trust in them. And I can really relate to them. And they're some of my favorite SR content creators. And I want to be one of those for you. I don't ever want to gaslight you and pretend that I never struggle with this stuff, or I'm putting together, years and years of streaks. If we're being honest, I go anywhere from 2 weeks to a month at a time. So it's still semen retention, but it's not like 90 days or 120 days at a time. And hopefully very, very soon I will get to the point where I can mentally lock in enough to put together one of these really long streaks. But until that point comes, I just got to be transparent about the fact that I still struggle with this stuff. I mean, it was only, I think at the end of this streak, it was day 23 or 24. And bro, energetically speaking, I was on fire. The day before the relapse, bro, I worked out 3 times that day. I had a massive leg day in the morning. I took a 2-hour walk midday, and I also turned it into a run. So at the end of the walk, I did like a solid 5-10 minutes of like running and sprinting. And then that evening, I hung out with a friend and we did we went to the gym again. And it was just supposed to be like a little arm day where we were gonna, pump up the biceps and get some tricep work in. But we kept hitting movement after movement after movement, and my energy was not going anywhere. It was just too much, bro. It was just too much. And I know a lot of the dogmatic semen retention creators will be like, no, you just got to transmute better. And I understand that. And I respect that. And they are correct. I could have done better. Maybe that's something I need to get better at. But I need you to understand too, like, just because I'm being honest about this, I'm being honest about it to show you where I'm coming from, that yes, I struggle with this stuff, but that doesn't take back anything that I've ever said about semen retention. Not only is it true regardless, it's especially true in this moment. I don't know if you can tell. I'm very, very healthy right now, but my face, it looks like I'm sick, bro. I feel like I'm energetically sick, like I'm energetically detached and low vibration. I don't know if it's coming across in this video, but I don't have that same spark. It's harder for me to come up with words on the fly. I just don't have that internal level of gumption and motivation and drive. I just feel like a fucking limp dick, if we're being honest. And so I never want these videos to come across like I'm shaming anybody for taking actions that they want to take. Like, you know, you want to do it? Go ahead, do it. If I want to do it, guess what? I just go ahead and do it. But we have to be honest about what we are doing, bro. If you are giving up your energy, brother, it's not something to mess around with. It's really serious stuff. Not that there's any shame, but you got to be honest about, you know, the fire that you're playing with. When you give up that energy, you are just throwing away the next couple of days of productivity, of mental clarity and spiritual connection you could have. How do I know this? Because the last couple of days I've had that. And today, I don't have that. Why? Because I was an idiot. Just a fucking idiot with a ball sack that was entirely too full. And I made a bad decision. What do you want me to say besides that, bro? Like, what? Like, yeah. You are doing 100 times better than you think. You really can't lose once you know about semen retention. I don't care how many times you mess up. I don't care how many times I mess up. I know that as soon as I relapse, as long as I stay conscious, I'm getting right back on that freaking horse. I'm going to build up my energy as quickly as possible with all of the other positive lifestyle habits. And I will not ever let it turn into some sort of chronic lifestyle. One relapse, one mistake is not a mistake. It is a learning moment. It only becomes a mistake. It only becomes a negative thing when you let it just become your life. Most men, here's what I mean by you cannot lose and you are doing 100 times better than you think. Most men, they do it and they think there's nothing wrong with it, not morally speaking, but they don't think there's any negative side effects of just releasing their energy 24/7. And then they did it in the morning, so they do it in the evening. It felt good in the morning and the evening, so they do it the next day, and they do it the next day, and they do it the next day. And then you look at them, and in 5 years, they're just like dead in the eye. They look even more dead than I look in the eye, and I look pretty dead in the eye right now. Yeah. So just because you held your energy for 25 days, you held your energy for 65 days, and you had one slip up, that is still progress, brother. And I don't care what anybody else says. Maybe it's cope because I can't, do a 2-year semen retention streak. Maybe it is cope. And maybe I'll look back on this video and be like, dude, you were just a fucking loser making excuses for yourself. But for now, while you are still weak and while I'm still, wrestling with these types of addictions, understand that you still have made progress. And just because you slip up once does not mean you need to let this turn into a chronic lifestyle habit that will drain you even more. It's like, what happens if you spill a little bit of your coffee? Is the solution just to take the rest of the coffee and dump it out on the floor? Well, I spilled a little bit, so I just got to dump the whole cup all over the floor. It's like, no, it's fucking retarded. If you spill a little bit of coffee, look at the spilled coffee, we spilled it, but I'm going to enjoy the rest of my coffee. Just because I had a slip up does not mean I'm just going to be like, well, I messed up today on day 25, so I'm just going to go watch websites for the rest of the year. It doesn't work like that. And stop focusing on streaks. I mean, I still think you should track your days just so you can have some sort of measurable, thing of progress for yourself and then for others if you're trying to share lessons with them. But semen retention is not just about sitting in the dark little damp corner of your room and building up numbers to say, oh, I went this long on semen retention. Absolutely not. No. It should be, you should have so much going on in your life, so many things that you want to do, so many things that you want to achieve, so many milestones that you want to accomplish at a man that you just don't got the fucking time to jerk off. Like, you just don't have the time because you are so busy, because you are so productive, because you are out here making fucking moves. Really, whenever I go back to bad habits, it's not really because like the energy's that bad. It is that, like the energy is very, very high. But also it's just a combination of that and the fact that I'm fucking bored. As long as I have something to pour my attention into and focus my energy on, just relapses can't touch me. It's only when I get bored and I get undisciplined and I leave chinks in the mental armor of my mind is when, you know, the possibility of a relapse kind of sneaks in the back door. Yeah. So keep doing your best. Again, I just want to make this video as a video to be transparent because, you know this already. I'm not perfect. I'm a guy and I'm not Jesus Christ himself. I have not transcended lust. I'm a young 22-year-old kid with a full ball sack, and sometimes I make stupid fucking decisions. But do not ever let that turn into an excuse to just give up on semen retention. You can only fail if you give up. You can only fail if you make a mistake and you let that mistake define the next 3 months for you. So don't let it do that. If you mess up, be honest, be conscious. Take 110% responsibility for your actions and get right back on the horse. Again, whether you're single or in a relationship, retain. If you're broke or rich, retain. If you're on an 80-day streak, keep retaining. If you just relapsed 5 minutes ago, retain. The solution is always to hold your energy until you can't anymore. And then if you can't, I guess you're going to relapse. That is not an excuse to throw away everything you've learned. You know too much at this point. You know going back to the websites long-term is not the correct move. So stop doing that. Stop lying to yourself. You know you're doing better than you're giving yourself credit for. Dude, imagine telling your younger self who is completely addicted to these adult forms of entertainment that, dude, we're doing it 2 times a day, but we're going to get to the point where maybe we do it once every 30 days. Once every 60 days. That's a huge fucking milestone. And hopefully this video will age very well and I'll get to look back on this as a moment of weakness in my journey, but hopefully I'll be able to bounce back stronger. Like I said, I'm not going to document every single relapse because really it's not really important as far as you're concerned. But just wanted to give you a little reminder that newsflash, I'm a human. So hopefully you can do better than I did. You can get yourself some real accountability and you can help me stay accountable as well. So jump into school and I'll see you inside, or I will see you in the next video, brother. Peace.